Hello and welcome to the Virtual Frontier, the podcast about virtual teams created by a virtual team. I'm Chris and I'm part of the team here at Flash Hub. On today's episode, we have Astrid Schrader. Astrid is an entrepreneur, personal growth strategist, and team coach. Manuel, Daniel, and Astrid had an awesome conversation about company culture and leadership. So, here is episode 12 of the Virtual Frontier featuring our guest, Astrid Schrader.
Astrid, as you are our guest today, you might want to go ahead first and give us a short overview about yourself, from where you're coming and where you might heading in the future. Take it over.
Cool. Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me. I'm Astrid. I'm German, as I guess, and I'm running an organization called the Arc, which is an international training/coaching network and international retreats, boot camps, but also coachings across Europe. So yeah, we are an entirely remote teams of 10 to 20 freelancers, and also working in an area where we're dealing with very personal stories with a lot of emotions. So remote work has always been quite an interesting topic for us. That's one company. And I'm also having a second company where we consult social organizations on their financial transactions. Two very fairly different lives. And I guess that's it about me for now.
Cool.
Thank you.
Manuel.
Yeah, then let me shortly introduce myself. My name is Manuel. I'm founder and CEO of Bright Solutions, a former digital agency, and I'm also founder of Flash Hub, Virtual Teams as a Service. And I met Astrid at a TEDx conference, and we were talking about culture in remote teams and many, many different things, from the human factor of a team to the DNA of a team, of a local team, of a virtual team. And Astrid, so the first question that I have for you is, what is generally required to build a high-performance team in general, not only related to virtual teams?
I will answer for my industry, I guess, because before I founded this company, I've worked like 10 years or something in management consulting, and I really feel that per industry, what makes a performing team is quite different. But when you are in the people business, as I would call the industry I'm in, I love the statement saying we measure the quality of teams, the amount of truth being told. So the classical situation I have in mind is when two team members meet and one says, look, what you produced was, I don't know, maybe not the best thing. The other person just says, thank you. And I love this metaphor because this is what it means to have this high-performing team. It's where mistakes are not a bad thing. Like, they're not a good thing, but you don't have all the politics in your way. You can just talk about what matters. And there's enough trust for you to walk up to your colleague saying, here, I've made a mistake here. How do we solve this? It's really... and of course, you have all these other things like, you have to have really smart people. You have to have, functioning IT. But I feel that the very best teams are really differentiating through their radical sincerity, their radical honesty.
Mm-hmm. And beside this honesty and transparency, this is more the culture of the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what about measuring outcomes like OKRs or KPIs, because they really determine the real performance, the output of everything that the team does? How do you see this?
Yeah, I wonder if I can give you any cool OKRs that are more interesting: profitability, productivity, customer ratings, quality defects. Again, if I would answer from my, we have impact measurement, indicators, so to say. We don't call them OKRs, we call them impact measurement indicators. And I'm in the coaching business, so one goal indicator that we use is the percentage of coaching objectives reached. Yeah. And we also have like a 1-year evaluation, for instance, where we ask, okay, as a result of our coach, have you changed your life in a way that it has become an inspiration for yourself and to others. And I should probably add in brackets that this is really what our organization stands for. Our mission is really to coach people to a level where their impact inspires themselves and others. And hey, that's a big goal. But yeah, we're pretty proud of our results right now. I think the 1 year evaluation is up to 90 to 100%. So literally 90 to 100% say that as a result of our project, our coaching, our events, they have pulled off something in their life, which is an inspiration to themselves and others. And also the number of coaching objectives being reached, we are between 80 and 100%. So, I mean, we're excited about it. I'm not sure it's a good KPI for everybody, but it works for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you think there is a difference between a local team or a virtual team? What do they have in common, and what's the difference, and how to deal with these differences to make both a high performance team?
Yeah. So that's such an interesting question.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Like I say this because we're both local and remote. So in our events, the entire team is going to be on site, but the rest of the year we are remote. And some people do many events, other people do just fewer events. So it's really quite an exotic mix, to be honest. And what I feel we have to, so as we organize these boot camps, which are these crazy, crazy intense coaching events. So one of the challenges we are facing is that once we have the team on site, we literally have between 1 and 3 days to turn them into a team that can lead people through very intense personal processes. And the way we do this is we have a couple of values that really, really stand for. And I think, radical sincerity, as you can imagine, one of them. Another one is cut the bit and don't waste people's time. and I think that's what we really try to do. So to give a bit more context, one of the things we are doing is we are applying those values. So when we say cut the bullshit and be radically sincere, one question we take very seriously, and that's, for instance, the question, how are you? Yeah, so you'll find a massive amount of time being dedicated to check-ins on our meetings, to really asking people, okay, what's moving, what's in you, what's triggering you these days? Because that's when you're in the people business, a massive element of our work, right? If you are now, let's say, going through, a separation in your love life, for instance, and you're trying to coach someone on how to get over a separation, like, you are going to massively influence by what's happening in your life right now. And the level of honesty at which you're facing your own truth will be completely influencing the level at which you can coach someone else. So now this is just for us. And if I was to generalize this for more teams, I guess the biggest learning I've had from, leading teams, online, offline, but also different industries is you attract people, the kind of people that will fit the culture that you have already implemented in your organization. So I like to say, if you want people who have great impact, be an organization or be the leader or be the kind of team leader who has great results, who has a great impact. If you want to have people who are super upbeat, who are like the craziest party guys, like, maybe sales teams are really like a cool place for this. Be that party guy, and if you want a crazy programmer, either be that crazy programmer yourself, or, and I know it's not really a thing in a lot of startups, that the team leaders are the best programmers. Create an environment where great programmers thrive. So I think this is really the overall learning that I have deduced from working both online and offline. And I know I've talked about offline space, but if you were to translate that to the online space, I think this principle still is true. So also when we work online, it's not just just because our people are remote doesn't mean that we don't have the same level of sharing. We don't have the same intensity at which we will ask people, so what are the topics that are on your mind right now? What kind of coach do you want to be on this event? How do you want to contribute? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. I remember you said that you in your camps that you try to put people into a very personal, intense experience. Yeah. Can you give an example of what that means?
Yes. So just to give some context, as said before, like what our mission is to really, lift people up to a level that they can inspire themselves and others. For most people that we work with, this means that they pull off something incredible in their work life. So we work with a lot of super talented millennials who have the situation that they're talented, they're growing, they're theoretically capable of growing fast, but they've kind of hit an end in current career or job or position. So a lot of times people like work in a big corporation and they want to, maybe their own company. Maybe they just want to also just discover their own niche within their organization that's really theirs. Or maybe they don't even know exactly what inspiring thing it is they're supposed to be pulling off and just want to start getting some passion project off the ground. But no matter what it is, the way we work is, how do you coach someone to be inspiring? We say, okay, so you got your comfort zone and you leave your comfort zone because you trust your dream more than you trust your fear. And in 2012 thought, why don't we make an event around that? Why don't we finally make one of the training events that actually work? And when you talk about these intense processes, this is what we're exploring with people. So the first question we are asking is, okay, what are the situations that make you sweat, that make you go autopilot, that are so scary for you that you don't even put yourself into it? So the classic is like, you are a starting entrepreneur, but you despise pitching. You are freaking scared of pitching your company to anyone. So guess what's going to happen? You're going to stay small and moneyless. So that's the first step. The second is around, if you were not to blame yourself for the things that make you happy, what would be the one dream, that one vision that you would stand up for, that is worth fighting for, that is comes so deeply from you that you, everything. I like to say that Martin Luther King speech that you yourself would give. And it's a topic for people that oftentimes is even harder. We are skilled in our society, I believe, to talk about where we suck, where our fears are, but we're really struggling to say yes to our passions, to our dreams. Yeah, somewhat for people that's oftentimes an even harder. So interestingly, talking about what you want and getting ready for taking that, going to that, like that big life buffet and saying, you know what, I'm going to freaking go for this, is for many people an even scarier process. And then, of course, the third part, we'll talk about, okay, what number one obstacle in your way? Like, seriously, like, I'm not talking about, that little bit of self-doubt that you maybe have, but like the deep fears, potentially even the traumas that are locked in you that hold you back, a big one. Or also, I'm going to say this, like a lot of women in my age is like the I am not good enough or the, I don't know, like all the number one big belief that really messes with you, that stops you from going for what you want and be courageous. That is sort of the third big area where people are having, a lot of intense moments of admitting to self that certain are in you. So I hope that answered. I don't know if that answered your question.
It does. I'm just wondering, you do that kind of coaching mostly for founders or managers, so people that have a high amount of responsibility and face many challenges every day, so they need to develop their personality. Would you recommend to do or to give this kind of experience to any kind of employee in a team?
It's an interesting question. We do that. So there are some organizations that hire us to do some processes with their employees. Is it always necessary to do it for every single employee? I'm not. But if you want to have a purpose-driven organization where people take their destiny in their hand and take over responsibility for their own growth, such processes are honestly gold. Like, people really learn what it means, find what they want, and to assemble the courage to go and get it. So I think for a lot of startups, this is awesome. For every company, like every corporation, I'm not sure. I'm not sure all companies want that. And there is also a purpose and a space for organizations that give primarily safety to their employees, and where you don't have to, always fulfill your dreams and your destiny and I don't know what, So yeah, I think there's really a space for both. But hey, I mean, I would not be running this company if I had a big passion and a big belief into people taking charge of their own professional development.
I'm just wondering how this will look like in very classical, mostly hierarchical organizations where people are even talking to each other with a formal U in German, the C.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this experience gets very personal.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I've just 2 weeks ago run a one-day workshop at one of those organizations where we had the senior management. Admittedly, it wasn't a marketing space. It wasn't like something completely techie or engineers, but those people who really grew up in a hierarchical, formal setting. And what I felt, and this was such a big learning for me, if you, I mean, as a facilitator, right? But if you as a team leader or as a facilitator believe and really live by these processes, I was just both shocked and surprised how openly people would follow. And I think, so just some examples, we sometimes we do crazy exercise. Well, let's say exercises that are crazy in such environments, from, eye gazing to talking about really, really personal topics and talking about your personal fears, talking about what messes with you, what fucks you up, what keeps you awake at night. These were things that they had never really shared before. And it was incredible how after honestly 45 minutes into the training, the seminar, people would just completely open up about their depression, about their family, about deaths in their surroundings, about how they're scared of being homosexual. So really, really personal stories. And also for me, this was actually a new thing. I was a bit timid, to be honest. I wasn't sure they would just follow, but what I'm learning more and more is that people have this very deep need to connect. And if you give them a space where they are allowed to do that and not feel embarrassed, like these days, I'm having great experiences with experimenting with that. But yeah, I think we have to overcome our own hesitation to put people in such scary places.
Yeah, that's also my experience. I mean, if the best projects that I ever had were those where we got personal in the team, not only in the internal project team, but also with the customers. On the other side, I face customers. If I try to talk to them personally in German with the they are like, oh, no, this is a professional environment. I will not talk this personal relationship with you. So some people, they fear that. And I'm wondering if you were talking about events like boot camps, or you have a coaching. Are there specific habits that a team can develop to foster these personal experiences?
Yeah.
Which one?
So I want to react to things. First of all, that when you meet people who are just, as you say, probably quite, I don't want to say correctly, because obviously I don't know it for everybody. People beautiful to be truly themselves in such conversations. I have this big value, like never coach without consent. And I think people being fearful tells you something about how safe they feel. And if they don't feel safe, talking about personal things will not make the whole conversation more safe, but it will make it less safe. And this is going to be, pushing people, even like extreme case where we push people into panic zone. And that's not where growth happens. Growth happens at the edge of the comfort zone, right? But not in panic zone. So that's really the first thing. And so when you talk about teams and fostering such, let's say, cheesy word rituals or such attitudes within teams, I think what on an abstract level, what needs to happen is that the team, step by step learns to bear honesty and sincerity. And I think like rituals really are like asking, like we have check-ins, and at every single telephone conference, we have like a check-in, and the check-in goes, okay, 3 minutes, 1 minute, or even just one word. How are you? Yeah. And we ask this because these emotions are going to be in the room anyways. If someone has just, had a parking ticket, that person is not going to be in the best mood. It's going to influence the meeting, whether you want it or not. And so that's one part, but also how to foster such things and how to help people to actually be authentic in this is the person who is leading the meeting. If that person takes the answers seriously, we might be surprised about that person's power to actually set the culture. So, asking how are you and really like taking it serious. Like I remember at some point I really learned from one of my colleagues called Arne, and we were in a team meeting, and I was honest, I was leading the meeting and I was stressed like hell. I just wanted to get the results done and I just wanted to have it work. And I remember Arne just interrupted the whole thing saying, you know what, guys, I think the admin now is just terrible. So let's just have like a check-in and see what's going on in the room, because everyone's just like so annoyed and negative. And I was like, wow, this was actually the right thing to do. So, and I talked about it quickly, like 5 minutes. And then afterwards, literally the whole process went completely smoothly. I think, sure, every team needs to find their own way of intervening and interventions. But I definitely think that teams can learn this, right? And then summarizing this answer, like it's really creating an awareness about the invisible things that are going on in the room.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes total sense. What do you do with a scenario where you ask a person during the check-in, how are you? And you get the answer, good, and you? Do you drill deeper, or do you accept the good on the surface?
Yeah, I think that brings me to the consent question. So a person does not want to share, like, that's fine. Like for me, then it means, okay, maybe I have to create more safety. And then the question is, what that person need? What does that person need? If that person just never wants to share, like, I mean, for me, at a certain level, that's fine. To be honest, I wouldn't do much. I like to have a full strategy, and other people start to tell about how they're doing, and also they will mention things that piss them off. Like, hey, what you said today in that meeting was shit, and so people kind of get a bit envious of other people sharing that, and usually in the next time meeting will just join in. But I think for me, that's really a case-to-case basis. I don't know if that helps you, if you have someone in mind in your team.
No, that helps me. I just see that whenever we have a meeting, especially when you ever meet the first time, or even you are in a daily stand-up, and then you ask, oh, how are you? Yeah. Yes, I'm good. Most people say, thanks, I'm good, because they are used to react in that way when they get the question asked, how are you? That's why I'm wondering if it would make sense not to accept the question good.
Yeah, gotcha. That is when it's like in stand-ups where you have like 6 to 8 people and they all like say, I'm good. In that particular situation, I think what I would, if I wanted to have some more connection going on between people, I think I would make a bit of a PR speech for the method. So like, what are the benefits of talking about this, And of course you can just invent general benefits, but like, why what are reasons for them to actually share something? For instance, let's say, I don't know, maybe there are some problems, maybe there's some problems in the company, and you have to, outsource certain parts. Let's just make up some example. And then, you ask, how are you? And people say, good. And you're like, wow, I know I'm not buying it. And sure, you can make a dedicated space of say, okay, let's 20 minutes, I don't know, after our team meeting. And here's the thing, we want to be this company where people feel safe enough to share what they're really feeling, because I want to take this team serious. I think you guys are real serious people who I want to actually listen to, learn from, and work with. So what about we take 20 minutes and everybody shares what they're really thinking, uncensored truth, and I'm just going to listen, and I'm not going to criticize. I'm just going to take in, and so that could be, for instance, a mini PR speech, but I would really adapt it to what the people want. So yeah. Does that make sense?
Now you see organizations all around the world and also in Germany to adapt an agile approach to, which means to transform to self-organizing teams. Mm-hmm. What do you think employees need to be taught or experience, which skills or experience they need to bring to be able to work in a self-organizing team? Or is it for everyone?
Yeah, I'm quite curious what your experience is as well, actually. From my personal experience, I don't think it's for everybody. As I've said before, I think there's a space for companies and organizations that mainly provide safety. I feel that, living in a country like Germany, where we have a functioning economy right now, it's a great privilege that such spaces can be provided. I also think there is a cool space for adventure and experimentation. And that's where I locate these self-organizing teams, the whole agile philosophy about reacting to change quickly, being flexible, throwing out your darlings, your little projects, and pivoting all the time and not getting too attached to one of them. And I think the skills that people, or the attitudes more so than skills they need to bring are, sure, you have to be open to, as I say, kill your darlings. You have this project and boom, maybe the next day someone finds out that it's not good enough, and not be too attached. That's the first thing. I also think people have to be kind of addicted to growth. Yeah. Because I think in self-organizing teams, you really have to be willing to let go of so many labels around what are the activities that you are doing on a day-to-day basis. What is your job title? And the biggest assumption that people oftentimes join a company with, you also have to go of, and that is the assumption, hey, I'm going to do this job forever. So I think, you definitely need someone who is very confident in their own skills, who will speak up as well, and who's open to letting go of all those labels and to discussing this with others. Mm-hmm. So that's my experience, but I'm curious what yours is.
I can share my experience as well, because we transformed our whole organization within 3 months from a classical matrix-based organization or hierarchical organization to self-organized organization with full transparency and virtual teams of 150 freelancers all around the world. Yeah. So there was a huge change. And I thought in the very beginning that I personally would love to work in such an organization where I'm free, where I'm independent, self-determined, etc. And I assumed that others like this as well. When I presented them all the benefits that this culture would have, they were all saying, oh yes, transparency is great. I want to be free to make holidays, vacations whenever I want. If I can determine my own salary, perfect. If I have full responsibility for everything and can control things in my environment, good thing. But on the other side, in the same way you want to be free and independent, you need to be disciplined, And this is one thing that most people didn't understand. They need to be disciplined and take ownership and responsibility, not only of their work, but also for themselves.
Yes.
And it's easier, and they are used to get an advice and execute it. For most people, it's easier, and they are used to that. So we have this culture still, but now we let people decide more and more if they want to be in a position where they are like a leader, where they want to be free and independent, self-determined, etc., and take responsibility and ownership of themselves and their team. And then we also give other people the opportunity to join a team and be like, a follower. So this is very important because, as you said, not everyone is made to work in such an environment. Yeah, that's definitely the case. And this is something, if some of our listeners in the audience of our podcast wants to try that, don't do it in the most radical way. I didn't want to get my experience. I can definitely share it with you, but do it step by step and try to ask people what they really want, not by asking them, do you want freedom? Yes. Do you want self-determination? Yes. But also try to make them aware of what that means as a consequence. Of having responsibility and the discipline. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Now, to the last question, if there is a startup that was founded like a month ago and they want to build a strong culture where they attract people that are high performers that want to work in such a self-determined, transparent organization, what do you think is the most important thing to start with to build this culture or this DNA?
I'm going to have a very concise answer to this. Oh my God. I feel it's work on the personal development of the founders. Why? So one thing I've repeatedly observed when being a management consultant, but also when coaching all these startup teams, is the personalities of the founders and the founding team, or let's say the bosses, will magically diffuse through the whole pyramid. Why? Yes, we all learn, don't hire by your own image, but we do. And if I am someone who is massively risk averse, someone who loves risk and who will just invest a crazy amount of money in some untested something, won't have a very strong foothold in my organization if that person even gets hired. Which is already quite unlikely, I would say. So what I like to say is, because the personalities of the founders will trickle down through the organization anyways, I say don't make coincidence be the main trainer of your psychological fit. You know, your aspirations and your fears both will determine where your organization is going to go for, and what are the weak points of your organization. So again, know yourself, and then you can build the organization that you really want. The one thing that doesn't work, and I see this being done a lot, is, hey, let's make a culture workshop. Let's list 10 things that we love and write them on a flip chart and say, hey, these are our values now, but nobody acts according to them. And oftentimes the things that end up on that flip chart are the things that everybody knows this organization sucks at, you know? So I don't know, let's be more honest in a group of people who are all utterly dishonest, you know? And let's appreciate each other more, you know, of people who are not very appreciative of each other's work because they're all on fear. So, this is the one thing I think doesn't work, that you write down these values on a flip chart, things that you are actually worst at, and then just decide, we're going to be good at this starting now. Nobody lives the rules and nobody lives by it. And yeah, for me, this is when people really dissociate from any values and the soul the company tries to represent.
So it's really about the core of the company, which is in the very beginning, the founder. Organization needs a strong core and a major major personality of the founder, and everything else that you just write on the flip chart, which all people agree on, scratching on the surface, but not digging deeper into the real core, right?
Yeah,
and
kind of like this. Yeah.
Yeah,
and maybe. Yeah. Sorry. Go for it.
Just go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, I think you can write things on a flip chart, but these things should be meaningful. And if they are meaningful, if people lead by example. And yeah, what you can't do is write something on a flip chart, like honesty or appreciation or respect, not live by it and expect this to be the company value for some magic reason.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I experienced the same thing. So in the very beginning, when I started my business, I went through almost everything from being a weak founder without any experience, just were a programmer and hired people that were programmers, but I expected them to be a leader in the beginning of the organization, to do project management, whatever. And then I realized that, it's always my fault. If things go wrong, they always come back to me and to myself. And this is where where the change needs to happen. Only if this core is strong enough and basically speaking, as a founder what you really want, then you can give this spirit and this vision to others so they can follow it or even just execute it. Yeah.
What do you feel is the biggest value? What do you feel is like the biggest value that you like to stand up for in your organization?
Transparency and honesty. Those are the most important things for me. I hate when people just hide things and we are talking bullshit around the real core, the real meaning of a problem or a subject and solve it together. And I'm a huge fan of success, of course. I like when I have a team around me that really pushes to the limit and tries to achieve something special and not just doing the daily work. Of course, there need to be people that just do the daily work. Otherwise, the leaders that cannot push and run for the vision. Both need to exist. But transparency is definitely one thing that is very, very important for me.
Yeah.
And for you?
Yeah, I also hear a lot of ambition for you. And for us, it's we like to. It's quite similar, but we use the word sincerity. So it's sincerity. We also really run on courage. And the last one is quite cheesy. I like to put love on the equation as well. We are really like this very lovable organization as well.
All right.
Yeah. Perfect. And of course, like in the PS, we put work hard, party hard.
That's what I did from the very beginning. That we always celebrate success hard. Otherwise, you will always be in the day-to-day business, and you will never be able to celebrate something because you take it for granted that you have achieved something and okay, we did that, but we had to do that, so next thing and reach your next goal, and nobody's aware of that we achieved great things. Something else that you want to ask me? One question
So one thing I've really wondered, I remember when we were in the speaker's cabin when we had the whole TEDx thing going on, and I was like watching your talk from afar. And I was listening to your story and found it so, the word's not going to sound right, but admirable is maybe the wrong word, but really sort of awe-inspiring when you are talking about through how many bumps you have been. And I think one question I always wanted to ask you is, like, for me, it sounds sometimes incredible to like go on. And I'm curious, like, what's in your head or in your heart or in your gut that you like survive all these storms like again and again and again? I feel like I want to copy paste that from you and sort of like inject it into my own veins.
I have two things in my mind. I never want to give up. This is what I stand for from the very beginning. Never ever give up. This is the most important thing. And whenever there is a problem, I know, okay, there is a problem. I have to solve it no matter what, no matter how. And from that point, when I understand what I need to do to solve the problem, that's totally fine for me. I do everything that needs to be done to solve this problem. What is very, very hard for me if I feel helpless and I have a situation and I have no idea. That was something.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we had some things in the past, some situations where I realized it's not going in the right way, but I had no idea what to do. And I was just trying and always in my mind, never give up. So at some point, it was fixed. And that gave me the experience that whenever you want to reach something and you make it your most important attitude to never give up, you will succeed. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but at the end, you will succeed.
So what do you do these when you feel helpless? Just out of curiosity.
When I feel helpless and I tried too much, then I'm always very, very deeply involved and emotionally attached. I understand I will not find the solution. Then I go to sports and I try to be very, very exhausted. Yeah, that really helps. Be very exhausted, and then you see things from outer perspective, and that usually helps either to understand I personally I'm not able to solve the problem by myself, so I need to ask somebody else to request help. Or I just understand, okay, I need to try different things. And from an outer perspective, it's most likely easier to understand which options you have and then pick one and go for it. But these are the mechanisms that I have developed because I understand when my body is completely exhausted, my mind works better and less emotionally attached. That's what I do.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Interesting strategy.
Yeah. It works for me personally, does not necessarily mean that it works for everyone, but it's worth trying.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then it was a very exciting talk. Thanks a lot for your time. It was very inspiring for myself as well.
Same.
And just let us know where people can find you on social media or online.
Yeah, so online we are www.thearctraining.org and Arc with a C. And on YouTube we are the Arc Tribe. We have our own YouTube channel. On Facebook you will find us if you Google Mind and the Arc. Yeah, and I guess generally just Google my name, Astrid Schrader. You probably, there's like Arc stuff all over my profile, so it's hard to miss. And we are very chatty, so we love to get in touch with people.
So it's not so hard to get in touch.
No, not at all.
Cool, perfect. And I hope that some people will make their way to you if they need good coaching or want to develop their personality for being a great founder. Then thanks a lot for joining us, and have a good day.
Cool. Same. So have a wonderful rest of the day too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
I'd like to thank our guest Astrid Schrader for joining us today. You can find out more about Astrid on our LinkedIn page that is linked in the show notes. You can subscribe to The Virtual Frontier or leave us a review at Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere else podcasts are found. If you want to learn more about virtual teams as a service, visit flashhub.io. On behalf of the team here at FlashHub, I'd like to thank you for listening. So until next episode, keep exploring new frontiers.